Wild Badger sent me a new hedge trimmer. This is a redesign from the previous version, and we'll open it up, see what's different, and see how it does. If you followed the channel for a little while, maybe you saw one of my other Wild Badger tool reviews. We use the 4-in-1 combo set with the string trimmer, the hedge trimmer, and the pole saw. It works great. I've actually used it many other times outside of that initial video, and it is holding up great. Open it up. So this is interesting. I thought it was going to be the new style battery with the dual 20-volt system. It actually goes back to the single 40-volt. This is the same battery that's on the original tool set that I got from them, which I do still have and I do still use. So now I've got another battery and another charger to go along with it. This one is showing just 2 bars out of the box. I'm gonna go grab the other battery, which I know is on the charger, and then we'll throw it in this one and we'll go get to work. I had to go grab the old trimmers just because there are significant changes here I think are worth pointing out. So the old version, you inserted the battery inside of the housing here, right in the body of the trimmer like that, and you can see how much size this takes up. The new trimmer is styled completely different, and the battery slides in back here. If I can get it to slide in. Slides in back there. So you lose all of that extra housing, and as a result, this feels a little bit lighter than that other one. The other thing I'm noticing right away is that the new cutter is actually wider in between each tooth than the old one. So in theory, this should be able to cut larger material. So the bar length is the same, but the spacing in between each one is a little bit wider. And we'll go cut with this thing in a second, but I just noticed another thing. That's another improvement. I'm pretty impressed with the handful of different improvements here. This is the old cutter again, and one of my biggest complaints about using this one in the past is that it has this thumb safety, and it's only on the left side of the handle, which means you can only hit it with your right thumb. So when I tried to move back and forth using it left-handed or right-handed, it was a little cumbersome trying to activate that safety switch. The new one, on the other hand, has the safety on both sides, which I'm really excited about, because using this on trimming Christmas trees, and I have thousands of them that need to be trimmed, it's heavy. Moving this back and forth for a long period of time, it gets heavy, it gets tiring, and I need to switch arms periodically. And for me, having that, I think, is going to be a big deal. Just like on the other one, the handle can rotate 90 degrees, so if I want to do anything like this, I'll be able to do that. We'll see if I get into that out there, but let's get out in the field and put this to work. So the first little section we'll try this on is Leland cypress. The foliage on these is real light. It should not be a challenge for this to cut these well at all. And after this, we'll go try it on some of the spruces, which have much thicker, hardier branches. And if this is going to struggle with any of my trees here, it's going to be those. Pretty good to me. So next up, we've got our Norway spruces, and from down the field up to where I'm standing, I cut these last week with a knife. So we see plenty of fresh cuts in here on these trees, And I did notice many of these spruces are pushing out a second flush. So they already sent out their new growth for the year, and then they form new buds, and many of these new buds are already starting to open, and they're going to do a second flush this season, which is a little crazy. It doesn't always happen. It has happened before. And I'm going to go ahead and trim some of these anyway, but I'm going to leave some of them untrimmed as an experiment, because I want to see what this tree would look like next year if we don't trim any of this second flush. Sometimes on these spruce trees, they get way fatter on the bottom and a little skinny on the top. So I'm going to take this one in pretty tight on the bottom so that as it grows, maybe it'll look a little bit more proportional. So the new hedge trimmer from Wild Badger, those couple improvements I talked about at the beginning of the video, lighter package, a trigger, a safety switch that you can use with both hands, so it's truly an ambidextrous tool, and that wider spacing on the cutting teeth. This thing was able to cut through everything I put up to it today, which most of this stuff is pretty small diameter stuff, but what I need is precision. And you can see here as we walk up and down the row, we have great precision here. There's no cuts that were left behind, and the cuts that are on the branches are nice and clean, just like if I was using a shearing knife. So all in all, very satisfied with how these are cutting here today. As usual, there's a link to this product in my Amazon store, and if you purchase anything through that link, then we get a commission on that, and we turn that right back into the farm here. So we appreciate your support through those Amazon purchases.